say that he's been with me every mile, and he's promised to be with me till the end. I can tell 1,000 stories of how God has moved, and I'm sure that you can tell 1,000 too. He still does. He has never changed. He's still the God who's strong enough to save, and he's still here. He's still on his throne. If it seems he can't reach the too far gone, he still does. He still does. He has never changed. He's still the God who's strong enough to save. He's still here. He's still on his throne. If it seems he can't reach the too far gone, if it seems he can't reach the too far gone, he still does. He has never changed. He's still here. He's still on his throne. And he'll be there till the end. He still does. He has never changed. If you think he doesn't love you, this I know, he still does.
11th hour. He does.
My Lord set Moses down to see King Pharaoh, told him to loose my people and let them go. They were all burdened down with trouble and doubt. My Lord set Moses stand and he led them out. My Lord will send the Moses to lead you out, if you will trust him as you wander about. Well, if you are burdened down with trouble, don't doubt. My Lord will send a Moses to lead you out. Well, now we pilgrims now have started over the way to that fair land of rest and eternal day. If you are troubled, brothers, pray on and shout. My Lord will send a Moses to lead you out. My Lord will send a Moses to lead you out, if you will trust him as you wander about. Well, if you are burdened down with trouble, don't doubt. My Lord will send a Moses to lead you out. Now Satan, he's watching, he is waiting around to find your spirit getting close to the ground. Well, if you are struggling with him, pray on and shout, 'cause my Lord will send a Moses to lead you out. My Lord will send a Moses to lead you out, if you will trust him as you wander about. Well, if you are burdened down with trouble, don't doubt. My Lord will send a Moses to lead you out. Well, my Lord will send a Moses to lead you out, if you will trust him as you wander about. If you are burdened down with troubles, don't doubt. Well, my Lord will send a Moses to lead
sole vision. My Lord will send a Moses.
I don't have to watch the news or listen to the radio. If I want a broken heart, I just look outside my window at a world that is searching for some meaning in this life. Even when I'm down, I know things will be alright. 'Cause I've read the book and I know how this story ends. No matter how bad it looks, I know that love is gonna win. All these tears will soon be dry. All these wrongs will be made right. What keeps me going is knowing that love is gonna win. I've had my share of rough times. I've got the scars as proof. But each one has taught me that I must hold on to God's truths. And I don't have to worry about the trials life may send. 'Cause I know He'll always be faithful till the end. 'Cause I've read the book and I know how this story ends. No matter how bad it looks, I know that love is gonna win. All these tears will soon be dry. All these wrongs will be made right. What keeps me going is knowing that love is gonna win. I know there's coming a day when I'll see love face to face. 'Cause I've read the book and I know how my story ends. No matter how bad it looks, I know that love is gonna win. All my tears will soon be dry. All my wrongs will be made right. What keeps me going is knowing that love is gonna win. Love's gonna win. Love's gonna win. Love's gonna win. Love is gonna win.
Real Truth Revival. Love is gonna win.
This is Affirm Southern Gospel Radio.
As a kid, you knew you made it when you got invited to a birthday party at McDonald's. So, this June, Grimace is celebrating his birthday at McDonald's
Whoa.
with a shake all his own
Yay.
and inviting everyone to celebrate with him. Get Grimace's birthday shake with a Big Mac or 10-piece McNuggets when you order Grimace's birthday meal only at McDonald's.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time while supplies last.
I'm Andrea, founder of a boutique handbag brand, Andy, and this is why I switched to Shopify. I tried 3 other platforms prior to Shopify, and I remember my breaking point was when I would try to make one little change and my entire site would go down. Shopify made it really easy for me to shift everything over and hit the ground running. I was easily able to migrate my products and all of my customer information over. With the drag and drop theme editor, we don't need to hire a developer to do any coding. What's amazing is that each theme is automatically optimized on mobile. It's incredible. It looks even better on the phone. We really like adventure. We would not be able to go on the road without a platform that we can rely on. What are you waiting for? Start your free trial with Shopify today.
From templates that make site design simple to customizations that let you grow at your pace, this is your possibility powered by Shopify. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/free23. Go to shopify.com/free23 to take your business to the next level today.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
I should really give my dad a call.
Things you missed when you were tired suddenly come to light.
Wow, I'm a morning person.
At Mattress Firm, we know the right mattress matters. And at our 4th of July sale, you can get a king bed for a queen price and save up to $700 on select Sealy mattresses. Sale ends soon. Shop in-store or online at mattressfirm.com. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Hey, just for a while, stop scanning the dial. Give our station a try for a few days. It could change your life.
You have exactly 48 hours. I suggest you get started.
Affirm Southern Gospel Radio.
The crowd didn't know.
That was pretty cool. I thought I was getting intro music. The crescendo kind of came up right there at the, like your walkout when you're playing baseball, right? All right, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get ready for Sunday school. Nice to see everybody out. If I get to the right page. I was afraid we weren't going to get enough rain for this week, but I guess we'll get just what we need, right? All right. Good to see everybody. Let's go ahead and go to prayer this morning. I'll ask anybody anywhere if you got a spoken request. Okay, Steve. Ruby? All right. Joanne?
Remember the family that their house burned down. They're coming to our house this evening. So, but we think she has temporary housing. So just pray that all of that works out and that CPS approves it for the foster kids and everything works out. And remember our family as we go through this.
Okay. All right. Ronnie?
Remember me and my family. I can remember my two brothers and mother. Remember playing.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Remember the Bobby Mullins family. That's not the one that's on our prayer list and everything. Bird text me. Just one of those that he passed last night at 11:15.
Remember Reverend Aaron Cody Moore in prayer, and remember Israel in prayer.
Okay. Jerry?
Joseph's doing better. We appreciate everybody's prayers.
Good deal.
Mark, we still have unsaved loved ones. Remember Tommy Kelly, Jason Crowley?
How did Tommy's procedure go?
I talked to him a little bit via text, and I think all right. You know, he said the shoulder was real sore, but I was hoping maybe he'd see here this morning. He's still not.
Okay, good deal. All right. Somebody else with a spoken request?
Still remember Buddy and Georgia Freeman and her sister, our nation, and missionaries, and our law enforcement, and Russia and Ukraine, and still have two sisters that need prayer.
All right. John?
Mark, I'd just like you guys to remember my girls. I have my youngest traveling to Virginia today, and one's coming back from Tennessee tomorrow.
People spread all over the place. All right, anyone else? Okay. Donna, did you have your hand up? All right, I'm sure everyone has unspoken prayer requests. Let's all stand up, please. Nearly every family here had a spoken request this morning, so let's just remember each other as we go to prayer. Most of all, let's remember to invite God into our service and ask that He would lead us and that we would follow. Mason, do you mind leading?
Heavenly Father, thank you this morning, Lord, for this day you've given us. Thank you for this opportunity, this blessing that you allowed each one of us to come in your house this morning, Lord. Thank you for giving us the desire to be here. Lord, we just ask you that you let forgive us for our sins, for shortcomings, faults, and failures, both to you, Lord, and to one another. God, I ask that your Holy Spirit will just descend upon the church this morning. I fill in your heart, move freely into each one of us. We pray, Lord, that as I present your word and teaching, God, redirect whatever discussion we have this morning, that we would be the need to be led by you, Lord. Father, we ask this in the classes that are going on this morning. Lord, we ask you to do through the prayers of everyone here this morning. You know, you can do all things, Lord. And that's why we just pray for comfort and peace as we go through the storms of life. God, as you direct us, that we will be following. Just be with us this morning, Lord. We ask and give thanks and praise in Jesus' name.
Amen. All right, before we start with the lesson this morning, I'll ask if anybody's got a verse or a passage they'd like to share with us. All right, Bruce.
This is out of Proverbs. I'm going to start here. I'm going to read verse 9, chapter 19. I'm going to start at verse 1. Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Also that the soul leaveth out knowledge, it is not good. And he that hasteth with his feet sinneth. The foolishness of a man perverteth his way, and his heart fretteth against the Lord. Wealth maketh many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall not escape. Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that giveth gifts. May God have a blessing of the reading of his holy word.
Amen. Thank you, Bruce. All right, we'll get into our lesson this morning. The title of it is Moses' Many Ministries. It's on page 36 in your booklet if you've got that. It's parts of Exodus 18 and 19. You know, as I was studying for this lesson, I thought of a commercial I had seen recently on TV that it shows a mother, you know, telling her family to do all these different chores or tasks in the house. And then as they go do them, she immediately comes behind them and redoes it. Anybody ever see that?
The real live version or at home or on TV?
This was on TV. It happens in real life. You know, it's like with things like loading the dishwasher, taking out the trash, sorting the laundry, that kind of thing. She'd tell her kid to load the dishwasher, and as soon as they did it, she'd come, no, you got to do it this way, and move everything around. I know this is going to step on a lot of toes as we go through here, because we have a couple of OCD people in this church.
That's a true story.
Yeah. And you know what? What was funny was it didn't matter what the chore was. She's going around behind everyone, redid it to her liking, the way she wanted it. It had to be done just so. It wasn't enough to just say, load the dishwasher, sort the laundry. Then she comes back. I don't even know what was being advertised with the commercial, but this lesson this morning kind of reminded me of that. Did anybody see that commercial or remember it? Anybody experience that in real life?
Not at all.
I still experience it. It's not with the child, but with
So he's the OCD one in your...
He's the one, I quit folding the laundry because he refolded. So I said, I'm just not even bothering.
And I can relate to that, actually. I'm not the one that refolds, no. You know, we do that, we see that kind of stuff, though, at home and at work, though, don't we? About wherever we go. Does any of you do that? Are any of you guilty of doing it besides Mason? Ruby is? Come on, Luke, put your hand up. No? All right. You know, there's a few things that we can take from that little example that is kind of driven home by the lesson that we have this morning. So first of all, no matter how hard we try or we want to or we think we can, one person cannot do it all. Right? This is kind of a takeaway from that commercial and what we look at in our lesson this morning. That goes from anything from running a household to some situation where you are managing others. And the second thing I think we need to take away from that, it's okay to let somebody else help. It is okay to let other people help. All right, thank you.
Let them fold it wrong, man.
Let them fold it wrong. Let them load the dishwasher wrong. Let them sort the laundry wrong. It's okay to do that. Those of us that are plagued with OCD struggle with that, though, don't we? I want you to do this for me, but you got to do it exactly my way. Right? You know, in households, mom is usually the one in charge, right? That's just the way it is. In a household, mom is the one running the show. That's just the
pants, she sticks them out.
You know, mom makes sure everything gets done at the house. All the cleaning, the meals, the laundry, putting things where they go, the decorating, and on and on and on. I'll be quite honest with you, I am perfectly happy to sit back and let somebody else do that. All of those things, except the meals. I do like to cook. Moms here, do you do it all for yourself? Do you do everything in your house? Do you just do it all? Jamie, you do?
Well, when my kids was home, everybody had chores. But then when they left, I had to take their chores. But Marvin works outside, I have to do it.
Anybody else?
She won't say it, but she does everything in the house. Except the middle, even the trash sometimes.
You know, a couple of examples about, you know, why one person just can't do it all. I don't care if it's a household of two. You need help, and it's okay to get help. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to have standards, but it's okay to have help with things. You know, we just finished up another successful VBS here at this church. You think about the logistics of what all went on in VBS, okay? So we had average 100 people a night. I know there were several nights that we had more than that, but let's just say 100 people. It's a lot of people, ranging from every age, from infants, toddlers, to people Ronnie's age. No, it's okay. I had to find somebody, okay? Steve slipped out of my view there for a minute. I don't think he was here.
Well, he's jumped over to the 70 beyond.
Okay. But you know, you think about it, all the things that went on. So we had classes, we had crafts, we had snacks, we had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of people moving around, a lot of activities. So think about this. So the way VBS generally works, one person sort of heads it up, right? Comes up with dates, comes up with the program, comes up with this and this and this and this, right? One person kind of does that. But did or can that one person run VBS? No, of course not. It's a lot of things that had to be done. There were teachers, there were people to do those crafts, people to come up with the ideas, people to get the supplies to do those things, the people that served all of us the snacks, and people spent the entire evening back in the kitchen, just one person after the other. There are a lot of things going on. You just couldn't do that all by yourself. It has to be, you have to be willing to let others help, and then you can't just stand over their shoulder and tell them exactly how to do it, right? Think about our church for a minute. You know, we have a dedicated pastor who oversees the operations of the church, right? And delivers God's word through sermons multiple times a week. But does he or can he do everything? No, nor should he. There's no reason for him. Can you imagine if Luke showed up at church? Let's just take Sunday morning. showed up at church on Sunday morning, opened the doors, got the lights on, got everything set up. Then he goes around and teaches every Sunday school class, right? That would be a little tough, right? Sits in on the nursery, leads the singing while he's pounding on the piano. All of these things. Can you see one person doing all that? Now, he's still in charge, right? There's one person that's kind of managing it, but there's no way that he can do all the work. He cannot. So there has to be some delegation of responsibilities, of duties to make it all kind of come together, right? There's a whole lot of little details that goes into just our normal everyday service. You take the VBS part out of it. But in these examples, we can see that it takes multiple people to make these things work all the time. And it's okay to get help. We don't have to do it all by ourselves. Much as we'd like to, it's okay to get some help. But it also takes somebody setting some rules, right? So you couldn't just say, I want you to do this. Let's take VBS, for example. VBS, Marcia could have gone around and said, hey, look, I'm looking for teachers. I need adult teachers, which is usually the hardest ones to get 4 or 5 people to volunteer to do an adult class. But you still have to stick to some kind of a theme, don't you? I mean, it couldn't be like, okay, Mark, you're doing Monday night, Ronnie, you're doing Thursday night, or John, I think, did Tuesday night, whatever it was. Okay, you're teaching. And all of us show up with some totally different class or lesson that we were going to teach that had nothing to do with the central theme of the thing. There has to be some guidelines, right? There has to be some something cohesive about the whole thing to hold it all together, or it's just a mess, right? There has to be some rules. There has to be some kind of standards to keep things moving, flowing the way they're supposed to. All right? So let's keep this in mind, these examples that we just gave. And we're going to read through the verses that we have this morning. We'll talk about it. Hopefully all this will make some sense to you guys. Good.
Say something.
Please.
Because I don't want to sit in church with the lie. I hire help.
That's okay.
I do get help.
That's good. All right. All right.
But you're still in charge.
But you still set the rules, right? This is what I want clean. This is how I want it done. But then you don't just stand over their shoulder. Yeah, that's right.
When you were talking earlier, it reminded me, I think it's in Matthew, where Jesus set the disciples out 2 by 2 because he couldn't do it all.
That's right. We see that all throughout the Bible. All right, so let's read through this. We're in Exodus chapter 18. We're going to read, we start in 13, we go through 22 in that chapter, and then we skip to verse 4 and 19. We'll just read what we have in our booklet, and then we'll talk about it. All right, it says in Exodus 18, verse 13, and it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses from the morning unto the evening.
And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, what is this thing that thou doest?
And Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God.
And they have unto me, and I judge between one and another, and I relate to them the statutes of God and his law.
And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good.
Thou wilt surely wear away, but thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing that you have for thee, thou art not able to perform it thyself alone.
Hearken now unto my voice, I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God.
And thou shalt teach the ordinances and laws, and shalt show thee the way wherein thou must walk, and the work that thou must do.
Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s.
And let them judge the people of all seasons, and it shall be that every great matter shall bring unto thee, and every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee.
Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
And Moses came and called the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded them.
And all the people answered together and said, All that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. Amen. All right, so let's think about what's going on here. Has anybody in here ever held a management position? I know Mason has. Management. Got some people underneath you, whatever the number. When I worked at the 911 center years ago, I had about 20 people that were underneath me, and I have decided in my new career I'm perfectly happy having 0 people that I'm responsible for. It's wonderful. So what we see here is, Moses is in kind of a bad spot here. So, we saw last week's lesson, they've been delivered out of Egypt. They've been, they crossed the Red Sea. The Egyptians were covered up with the water and all this stuff. So they can finally take a breath. They're in a position where they can relax a little bit. They're encamped, at the base of Mount Sinai right now, where our lesson is. But Moses, I talk about, I managed, 20 people or so. Mason, you probably got, 50, 60 people at your store, somewhere in that number or whatever. So you got these people. Can you imagine being responsible for a few million people? Mason, you ever get any gripes and complaints? Can you imagine 2-3 million people? Like, you're going to have problems, right? Eventually you're going to have problems. So you got this big group of people, they're all in camp, they've got out of Egypt, and there's going to be fightings, disputes, spats. Somebody's got to sort all that out, right? In this case, Moses. One person is doing all that, judging. That's what they talk about, judging. Judging in this particular case is they're settling disputes, okay? You got this going on, that going on, who's right, who's wrong, and these kind of issues. So Moses is trying to settle all these issues from these people from sun up to sundown, all day, every day. How exhausting must that be? After I've heard 2 or 3 complaints, I'm done. I don't want to hear anymore. Millions of people. If you're spending your day doing that and you have put upon yourself that I'll settle all these disputes, I'm going to take care of all this, what else are you doing?
Driving yourself crazy.
Yes. Probably nothing productive though, right? I mean, that's your entire existence. Now, he's got a lot of other stuff he's supposed to be doing, but he is spending his time. That's kind of poor management, is it not? You got one guy that's listening to all this stuff. You're not getting anything done, and this has become a serious issue for what's going on here with God's people. All right, so I took all of that from verse 13. What's going on? These people standing by Moses from morning into the evening. So I'm going to read verses 14 through 16 here. So this is where you see the wisdom of old dudes, all right? So Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people. He said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning unto evening? Moses said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to inquire of God. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws. All right, so we see a couple of things here. So Moses is trying to manage all this, and there are a set of standards that have to be followed. Every decision that Moses is making, now, as much as we all want to do things our own way and all this stuff, there is some power, higher power, we all have to answer to. As a guy in middle management, I had to make sure that I'm following what management said was the rules to pass on to the people that were below me. Mason's got to do the same thing. He's got somebody at corporate that's saying, this is the way a Food Lion store works. And it's like that wherever you go. Whatever kind of management you're in, that's sort of the way it works. You're always following somebody's rules. But the bottom line is there's a set of standards that have to be followed, right? Now, in Moses' case, he's doing the ultimate right thing. He's making judgments based on what God's statutes are, which is how we should all be making decisions in our lives. Everybody agree to that? Even if you're managing a grocery store or you got 911 dispatchers, we should all be making decisions based on what is this right or wrong in the sight of God, right? That's always sort of got to be in the Christian's mind. Am I doing this according to the way God would have it done? So Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, sees all this going on, and he asks Moses a simple question. What are you doing? That's how you can sort of paraphrase the way he asked that. Moses apparently thought he was being very serious in the way he asked that. I kind of take it that Jethro was trying to get him to understand, you're doing something stupid here. What are you thinking about? But Moses comes by and he explained, hey, all these people need help. They got to help. They need help settling their issues, their arguments, their disputes with each other. And they need to know what God's statutes say about these things, which is, that's an okay approach to what Moses is doing. And his answer was correct. And I think he was doing it the right way. However wrong it was for Moses to try to do this all by himself, at least they're seeking God's counsel on these things and trying to do things the way the Lord would have them do it. Now, speaking from my own experience with a small group of people, I'm pretty sure that never came into the topic very much about, am I doing things the way God would have it done? Can you imagine a couple of million people trying to do things or find out what God would have to say about this? That's kind of impressive if you ask me. But anyway, so that's the way Moses is trying to handle things, and he answered his father-in-law, and he was trying to get him to understand, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it. Then in verse 17, I'll read 17 and 18, he said, And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, The thing that thou doest is not good. Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. So Jethro here proves that we should never ignore the advice of old dudes. There is some wisdom with some age, right? Hopefully. As we get older, we get a little wiser. Now, by that I mean not just the old dudes, even older women. As we age, hopefully we're getting wiser hopefully. But Jethro tells Moses, look, man, what you're doing, this is not good. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for you, and it's not good for the people. He tells him he's going to, the way he words it is, you'll surely wear away. Now, Jamie's already mentioned this a different way. Drive yourself crazy. That's what you do when you try to take on too much like that. And you're going to burn out. Anybody in here ever gone through burnout with work? Because it seems like it never ends, right? It's always the same thing, and you got this, and then you got the higher-ups over here, and if you're in the middle there somewhere, it's just a constant thing, and you're trying to do everything on your own to make sure it gets done right. You're going to burn yourself out. And the people also. You can't take all this on by yourself. The job is too big for one person. You could take that from anything, from the households we talked about, to the church, to the VBS, to our jobs, anything. One person can't do it all. You can't be the be-all, do-all for everything. It just doesn't work that way. No matter how OCD we are and think, well, if I don't do it myself, it's not going to get done or it won't be done right, so I may as well just do it myself. That's generally the attitude we take. That's not the correct way to do it. So in verses 19 and 20, Jethro is still talking to Moses, and he says, Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, and that thou mayest bring the causes unto God. And thou shalt teach them the ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Jethro starts giving some good advice here over the next couple of verses. And he tells Moses, listen, you need to listen to me, and God will be with you with this. First of all, he tells Moses something that every one of us needs to hear every day. Be godly. Okay? Very simple. Be godly. You should always be, the way it's phrased here is, be thou for the people Godward. You know, we heard David is described. David walked. He was a man after God's own heart, right? That's what he's talking about here. Noah, if you remember, Noah walked with God. There's a lot of people that are described in the Bible as walking with God, seeking God's heart, seeking God's favor. That's number one. This is the advice that Jethro has given to Moses. This is the first thing you need to do. Be godly yourself. All right? That's tough sometimes, isn't it? Do things my way, but all right, what's my way? Where did I come up with those rules? I should be basing on what God would have us do, right? But he tells him, he says, look, first be godly, that you can stand before God with these issues. It's kind of hard to give godly counsel if you're not very godly. So that's the first thing Jethro, this wise father-in-law, is trying to tell him. Everybody get along good with their father-in-law like that? You're going to take some counsel from your father? Jerry, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, all right? But I realize the proximity there. And then he says, secondly, and teach them God's statutes. Teach the people. Here's God's laws. Here's God's statutes. Teach the people this. You know what? I used to work with a guy years ago, and I don't want to give too much detail because I don't want anybody to be offended. And this guy had certain tasks that he did with his job that he absolutely refused to tell anybody else. So what that meant was if certain things occurred on the job and it was a weekend, he was the only one that could do it and had to be contacted after hours, interrupted, pulled away from family, whatever you're doing on your off time to do this, or it had to sit there and wait till Monday morning when somebody came in. Anybody see problems with that?
Yes.
I always took the attitude of when I was middle management, I want everybody below me to know exactly how to do everything I do. If you know how to do what I do, then I don't have to get that phone call at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I loved it. I want everybody to be, if I've got some information, if I have some knowledge, I want you to know it. That's the same thing that Jethro is telling Moses here. Look, you be godly, teach them how to be godly. It's that simple. You ever hear the old phrase, prevention is the best medicine? Think about how those disputes and those spats and those little fights that all those people were going through on a daily basis, millions of people, would be reduced if they themselves already knew what God's laws were, if they knew what God's statutes were. Might that diminish the problem, what they have to do? Here's the right from wrong. All these things. If they know how to follow God's commandments, you're going to eliminate a lot of the issues. Hopefully, if everybody's paying attention anyway. All right, comments, questions as we go through? All right. In verses 21 and 22, and this is still Jethro giving Moses advice on how to handle this. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter that they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. It's amazing to me that such simple advice, and it works all the time, and it works all the time, this, given so many thousands of years ago, we still struggle with. I mean, this is not even something that's a God's commandment or whatever. This is just good advice that Jethro has given to Moses. So he tells Moses something here that goes against the grain of every control freak everywhere. Delegate the authority. Delegate the responsibilities. You can't do this. Pick people to do this with you, for you, right? Let others help. We hate to do that. We don't want people to step up. I got this. I can do this. I need to do this on my own. We struggle with that. We still struggle with it. These people were struggling. Moses was struggling with it, and Moses was the deliverer of these people. But he told Moses something that was just so simple. Look, you can't do this all by yourself. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to pick men to handle these issues. And they're going to be in charge of certain numbers of people that they're going to have below them. Much more manageable groups of people. Then you would hope that Moses is only dealing with the elders. And then those elders have people under them that they're passing on. And it gets kind of spread, sort of a reverse pyramid there, to where you got people that are answering to a very limited number of people. You know, even management, you read HR documents today in business, they'll tell you you can only effectively manage a certain number of people that are directly under you. You have to have, Mason, you got assistant managers? How many you got at your store? 2 or 3, 4? People that you don't have everybody coming to you, they go to them first, right? So you got stockers doing this, answering to that one, people in the deli, the bakery, whatever. That's the way it works, and it works well. That's the way it's supposed to work. Not everybody does that, though. So he told Moses to select certain men that can judge over the everyday squabbles. Let them handle the everyday stuff, the little minor stuff, the petty stuff that's very simple. But again, they're standards, right? So you just can't pick random people, say, you know what, Amy, you look like you're going to be a great manager. You're in charge of these 50 people. Well, what thought did I put into that? And I'm not saying anything against Amy. But there was certain standards that these men had to meet as well, right? Godly men, honest men, righteous men, men that were striving to follow God's word. You don't want to just random, it's like running the household. Yeah, you don't have to do it all. There do have to be some standards. Look, clean your room, clean this, clean that, whatever. Still has to be some standards. Get close to us. I'd be happy if my kids would just get close to the standard. But that's what he's trying to tell him. Let them handle these godly men that are going to follow God's laws, and let those men be responsible for a manageable number of people to rule or to guide in these little issues. Already you can see how Moses' job is going to get much easier, right? Because he's not dealing with these people all lined up from sun up to sundown. Moses, he took my toy, whatever, I want it back. Whatever little issue he had. And he says, goes on, the cases that are then brought before Moses for Moses to judge are only going to be the big stuff, right? The things that these other assistant managers can't handle. If they're not able to settle, if they're not able to come to some kind of a judgment on that, then come to Moses with it. So now Moses' workload gets much better, easier to handle, things that he can do. So think about this advice, and I've already said it, but think about this advice that Jethro gave Moses all those years ago. Isn't it applicable today? The exact same principle. It's so simple, the way that he should handle this, and the way that these things can be done. It doesn't matter, whoever you're in charge in, whether it's your family, your household, a business, whatever. Very practical advice. All right, the comments? All right, so now we change gears a little bit, and this goes into chapter 19. We skip a few verses, and it starts at verse 4. I'm going to read 4, 5, and 6. So, let me read the verses first. It says, "Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So we skipped over a few verses, and Moses is back on the mount approaching God. He's gone to, because Moses would go up to the mountain, he would commune with God, speak with God. God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to? Because Moses, the leader, is also seeking godly instruction on how to do this. He's just not out there trying to wing all this on his own. Moses is at least trying his best to do this, lead these people in the way that God would have him to do it. So he's back on the mount to meet with God, and God instructs Moses to deliver a message to all these people. This is kind of the next step from what we just saw here. Moses is to tell them to obey the voice of God and follow the covenant that he made with them. If they will do this, they will be his chosen people above all others on earth, right? Still applies today. We're part of that family, though. They are going to be a nation of priests, a holy nation. It's hard for us to fathom, I believe, that you think about the nation of Israel being a nation of priests. What do you think he meant by the people being a nation of priests, a holy people? Aren't we all to be priests and ministers? Once we become part of God's family, that chosen people, every single one of us, we all have that responsibility, that duty. We're to be ministering to one another. We're to be, and that takes so many forms, whether it's just sharing gospel, whether it's helping one another, that's ministering. There's all kinds of different ministries that we can be involved in. Helping people out, doing certain jobs, doing certain tasks, taking some of these responsibilities that people like Moses are trying to take on all themselves and all these things. If you will obey my voice, you will be this. That's what he's telling him. Obedience is key, right, in our relationship with God. Again, half of the issues that the people of Israel were having out in the desert, all the squabbles they were having to each other, obedience would probably settle the greater majority of what they were going through with one another. Now, you're always going to have some people that are just, I'm going to do this my way, and my feelings were hurt, and he offended me, so we're going to make this right. We're all very sensitive that way. But that's kind of what he's talking about. If you will follow my voice, if you will obey me, you will be this nation. This is the same promise that was made to Abraham, right? You will be my peculiar people, my people forever. But the obedience was key to that. That was their part that they had to keep up with. All right, in verses 7 and 8, he says, And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. Notice he's already learning to delegate. Moses is not trying to do it all himself and speak to all these millions of people standing on a rock somewhere shouting as loud as he can so that they can hear him. He's going to the people who are the elders and here's the message from God, and we need to get this message disseminated to all the people. Moses couldn't do that by himself either. And he says, And all the people answered together, and boy, wouldn't this be nice to see. All the people answered together and said, All that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. So Moses did relay God's word to the people, and all the people agreed that they would do what God spoke to them. And for a while they did. Now we all know the history of the nation of Israel. They would get on fire for a while, then they would cool off for a while, and their following God was kind of like a sine and cosine path. Any of it's ever done any algebra and all that stuff. They kind of waved off the line there for a bit, but they truly did try for a good while. We and that's all of our text this morning, but we cannot do it all. None of us. You know, there's an old cliche, no man is an island, and that's true in everything that we do. We shouldn't try to do everything on our own. We shouldn't try to figure it all out on our own. We shouldn't try to do all the work on our own. It's okay to let go and let others step in and help us. We need to do that, every single one of us. It may not always be the way that you would like it, but if it's God's way, it's going to be the right way. All right.